3, 4.
My name is Raj Patel. I'm the curator of this exhibition and the leader of the project. Because of coronavirus, the gallery is closed to public visitors, so I'm going to take you on a little virtual tour. Welcome to the woods. Do join me as we walk up to our camp. Again. So what I want to do today is to start off, so I want you to really ground yourself. You don't have to stamp hard, but just really notice that you're on the earth, you're on the forest. So the students arrive off the buses from school. I meet them at the bottom of the woods. We take a moment just to land, and then close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you to take 3 deep breaths in with me, and then breathe in. What we then do every day is we do a silent walk up to camp where I ask them to notice something.
The leaves on the floor are rotting down, like you can't see them rotting down, you can't really see any of it happening, but you just know it's happening.
When we get to the threshold of the entrance to the camp, we pause for a minute. So on this side, we've been walkers in the woods. Now we're going to cross the threshold to become makers in the woods. So this is going to be our camp. It's going to be a maker's camp, a woodcraft camp.
You get 20 seconds each, so you make it count. Ready, steady, drill.
Oliver, don't forget you've got to tell them about the angle. A bit towards you first.
Yeah, we will. Like that?
That's it.
Place the broom in there, you need to
Okay, next.
Creativity is a need as fundamental to our species' survival as food, warmth and shelter.
Crafts don't belong to the past. Every artefact created today shines with vibrancy so that when we buy handcrafted products, when we interact with craftspeople and work closely with them, they remind us what is bright and good in all of us and the truth we carry in our hearts. Craft brings us closer to ourselves and to each other.
So we have 4 hours of making in a day. We have a half-hour lunch as well, but we find the students don't really want to spend half an hour for lunch. They only want to take about, we have to make them stop actually. So most of the time is spent actively making. So we've got a schedule of the day, but we like to try and achieve things, and they build up into creating a finished piece. Working 2 or 3 days with one maker, or we can work with 5 days with one maker, depending on the scale of the project. I already knew a couple of makers locally. Very lucky, I live in Ashburton, and Sean Hellman is a well-known woodwright locally. And further up on the moor, Linda Lemure, who's a basket maker. Straight away there were 2 people I was really interested in working with, and as soon as I spoke about the project they were really keen to get involved. And then they recommended other makers locally. Sharif is a bowl turn up in Chagford. I knew Astrid Arnold, who's a carpenter, through her work with schools, but also with working, encouraging women to learn carpentry. And Elizabeth Crawford, she's a rush weaver. She's an apprentice with Linda. I wanted to get a range of genders and also a range of ages. I think the youngest is about 35, up up to 60 plus, to show the range of backgrounds for the children really to experience that.
Hi, I'm Beth and I'm just sewing the heads of my reindeer. I'm Max, I'm using the rounding plane to make legs for the reindeers.
My name's Tilly and at the moment I'm drilling with a hand drill into the head of my reindeer.
This is Totnes Market in December 2018. They set up the stall, decided how it was going to look, and over the course of the whole day different groups of 6 children came up to be the stall holders. We also had a group of children that were going around the market promoting the stall, encouraging people to come and visit. And this is the opportunity for their parents to engage as well, to come up and see the work they've been doing wider than the pieces they were taking home, and just see their children in a different context. They did a great job actually, it did really well. I think we raised £650 in a day, which is brilliant for a one-off stall, really good.
The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now.
At its heart, it's a woodland management project. So we've been working in Dartington Woods, and we're using wood from that woodland that was planted 70, 80 years ago. Historically, when you go into woods and you take down some trees, the next thing you do is plant the trees to replace them. So for me, it was always that sense of we have to really understand that we just can't keep using things and not replacing them, particularly trees. I explained that right at the beginning to school to say, well, that's why we have to be in the woods, because it is a woodland management project. Linked into the fact that we're making in the woods, we're going to be talking to the owners about their woodland management plans and how we can support that. So the students have been doing tree care, so the trees that have been planted can grow properly, taking out dead trees, and latterly in December, November, planting trees. And so there's that connection, that's the whole cycle of it. You can't just do one thing. And that connection has been very powerful, because at the moment there was a massive conversation about the need to plant trees. And here we had young people who are thinking, what's happening, what are we going to do about climate change? And again, we've got students who've been actively involved in planting 700 trees in 2 communities. They're doing it, so it's been fantastic really. And it's given them a sense of empowerment, I think. You know, the one thing we can do to make a difference is plant a tree. So it's really shown, it's wonderful, it's shown that connection between the 2 things. Being with trees and making with trees, but also the need to carry on that cycle. We're part of that cycle.
We can never truly know properly about trees, and that's one of the magical things about them, is that they're so kind of mysterious and also majestic and really beautiful.
So one exercise we did was to ask students just to close their eyes when we're in the middle of the woods. And the invitation was to think about how they could find a tree to connect with. So they closed their eyes and they moved their body in whatever way they felt they were drawn to. And when they were in their direction, they would stop. And then when they opened their eyes, the first tree that they saw, they were drawn to, they would go and sit with and have lunch. To my surprise, none of the students questioned that. And then they all came back and told the story of their trees after lunch.
The one I'm drawing at the moment, it's actually my grandpa's tree, because he died before I was born. We scattered his ashes around a chestnut tree, so that's the one I'm drawing. I think it's about my favourite tree.
Research has shown that if a tree is struggling, other trees will pass energy to that tree to try and help it. And when a tree is dying, the last thing it does is send out a wave of energy to its family group to pass that on to the next generation. So we talked about all that research with the children, and they were really interested in that. So when we were drawing the trees, they were thinking about that interconnection.
It's really important for as many people as possible on this earth, if not everyone, to know about the countryside and all the plants and the animals and the trees. Trees take in carbon dioxide, which we breathe out, and they give out oxygen, which is really important, because if we didn't have oxygen, obviously we couldn't breathe.
That's pretty important, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think you summed it up there quite well.
people aren't given the opportunity to plant trees very much in their community. So when we started doing the tree planting, the students were really struck by how quickly you can do it. So we planted 100 trees in a whole day with one group, and then 50 trees in an afternoon with another class, neither of whom had done tree planting before. And so there was something really powerful about doing that. So we thought about the opportunity, given that we need to plant trees in our communities, how that might be done by young people and their families, rather than it being companies coming in and doing mass planting. And the idea came of asking young people and people who came to the exhibition where they would like trees to be.
My first dot I'm going to put around Exeter, and I think this is really important to have a lot of trees around the big cities, because obviously that's going to be the most places giving out the most carbon dioxide.
And 100 trees is a really good number in terms of having an impact, but it can be done in a day. So that's what we've done with this map. And so already people who've interacted on it online have identified in Devon where they would like to see more trees and where we can start to afforest. And the idea of afforestation is to plant trees where there hasn't been a crop of trees before, as a way to effectively encourage climate action. What we're now talking about with this idea, again coming from the conversations with the students in school, is mapping their local communities and identifying spaces for trees in their towns, in their communities, not just on the large-scale land outside, but actually small-scale planting that can happen now.
Raj approached us as a potential venue for an exhibition about his project back in January 2018, and we took it from there really. It's an amazing, beautiful exhibition, and I think it's more beautiful than we expected as well. I love how it works on every sense. When you walk into the building, you just get this incredible sort of pine smell, don't you? It is a really relevant project. It's probably, you know, it's much more multifaceted than any of us realised at the beginning, and that's lovely. You know, it's involved so many more makers, so many more children, but also it has so much more potential for the future, for teachers, for communities, for everyone really. School is just the beginning. That's the beginning of where this project starts, and actually we want people to just carry it on out into the community, and that's what's really exciting for us.
Natural treasures in roots, wood and leaves. For beauty, for use.
The air that we breathe. Imagine, a wood starts with one small seed. We're stronger together, people and trees.
That last sentence is the epitome of our project, really. What happens when you connect with yourself in nature, the opportunities that offers. And this is all about coming together.
This is a really difficult and unique situation that we're in. This exhibition is the right exhibition for this situation. We're working on all the activities that we can which relate to this exhibition, and we're going to be sending them out there for all these poor bored children and adults, all of them.